Lesson 4, topic scientific notation, learning target, I can perform operations with numbers in scientific notation. Just a reminder of what scientific notation looks like. We have, again, our coefficient, which remember, always between 1 and 10. It's going to be a really important feature of this lesson. The base is always 10 of our power, and then our exponent has to be an integer, which is our positive, negative, whole numbers. We are going to be performing some operations with scientific notation. And our goal is to write our answer in scientific notation. So what we are going to do is we're going to multiply like things. So we have two numbers in scientific notation being multiplied together. So I'm going to identify my coefficients. 2.32 is a coefficient, and 4 is a coefficient, and I'm going to multiply those together. Let's start with that. We have 2.32 times 4, and we get 9.28. So that is going to be my coefficient of my answer. And then I know with scientific notation that it's going to be multiplied by 10 to some power. So now we just have to figure out the power. So in the problem, I have 10 to the negative 6 power times 10 to the negative 5th power. Now remember, when we multiply powers, we can do what with our exponents? Add them. So I'm going to do negative 6 plus negative 5, which gives me negative 11. And that right there gives me my answer in scientific notation. 9.28 times 10 to the negative 11th. Let's try another example, but this time we're going to do division. This fraction bar just means we're dividing. So we're going to use the same exact concept. Same thing. We are going to divide our like terms. So like pieces, if you think about that. 4.2 and 2.1, those are our coefficients. So I'm going to do 4.2 divided by 2.1. Get my calculator out. 4.2 divided by 2.1, we get 2. Nice whole number. So that is 2. Scientific notation tells me I'm going to have times 10 to some power. Now it's time to figure out what that power is going to be. So I'm going to use my powers of 10. 10 to the 3rd power divided by 10 to the negative 5th power. So when we divide with powers, what can we do with our exponents? We can subtract them. 3 minus negative 5. Double negative becomes a positive. That's really 3 plus 5, which is 8. So I know this is going to be 10 to the 8th power. And that right there is my final answer. 2 times 10 to the 8th power. 2 more examples. And this time we're going to add one extra step at the end. So first thing I want you to do is we're going to try 2 more examples. We have 8.4 times 10 to the 2nd times 1.7 times 10 to the 6th. So again, we're going to multiply our like pieces. We're going to do 8.4 times 1.7. And when I do that, we get 14.28. And that is going to be times 10 to some power. So we have to use our powers of 10, 10 to the 2nd times 10 to the 6th. When we're multiplying with powers, we can add our exponents. So we'll go 2 plus 6, and that gives me 10 to the 8th power. Now in our last example, that was it. We were done. But on this one, we do need to double check that coefficient. Is our coefficient a number that is between 1 and 10? 14.28, that's a little bit too big. That's bigger than 10. So we have to change that number to a number that's between 1 and 10. So what we're going to do is we're going to move that decimal place over 1 to the left. This is going to become 1.428. Now when we move that decimal place, that means our exponent is going to change. In this first number, we had 2 numbers after the decimal point. In this new number, we have 3 numbers after the decimal point. So we added a decimal place. We added 1 decimal place, which means we need to add 1 to our exponent. So this is going to become times 10 to the 9th. In adding that extra decimal place, we have to add 1 extra number to our power. So it's going to be 1.428 times 10 to the 9th. That is going to be our final answer. I would like you to try the second example on your own. Just give it your best shot. And then once you've checked your answer in Edpuzzle, we'll go through it together. All right. So first step is to do that division. 1.2 divided by 1.6 is 0.75. Next, we're going to divide our powers of 10. 10 to the 4th divided by 10 to the negative 3rd. When we divide, we can subtract our exponent. So 4 take away negative 3, which becomes 4 plus 3. So this would be times 10 to the 7th power. Now, when you checked it, you should have seen, hey, this number is not between 1 and 10. That's too small. 75 cents, not quite $1. So in this case, we're going to move our decimal point 1 to the right. We're going to make this 7.5 instead of 0.75. But in doing that, we took away one of our decimal points. We now only have 1 number after the decimal point instead of 2 numbers after the decimal point. So since we took away one of our decimal places, we're going to take away one of our exponents. So this is going to become times 10 to the 6th. And that right there is your final answer. All right, last example, evaluate the expression, write your answer in scientific notation. We have 2.4 times 10 to the 4th. It's one number in scientific notation, plus 5.57 times 10 to the 3rd. So if we think about our last couple examples, we were working with multiplication and division. Those are at the same level of PEMDAS, which means we could be a little flexible with how we operated on that problem by doing our coefficients together and then our powers together. However, since this example includes multiplication and addition, those are on separate levels of PEMDAS, which means we have to follow order of operations. We have to do the multiplication first, and then we'll do the addition. So I'm going to do this multiplication, and in doing the multiplication, I'm going to just write the number in standard form. I have 2.4 times 10 to the 4th, which means I'm going to move this over 4 times. So this number is 24,000. Plus, I'm going to add to that 5.57 times 10 to the 3rd, 5.57. The 3rd power means I'm moving 3 to the right. So that's 5,570. Then I'm going to add these two numbers together, which gives me 29,570. If you need to use a calculator for that, feel free. And then the last step is just converting this number into scientific notation, which I need you to do. Write that answer in scientific notation, check your answer in Edpuzzle, and then you're done with your video notes.